Another episode of Immigrant Podcast. I'm your host, Nikolai Hill. On the other end of the line today is the person that I've gotten most of my features, the voice box, and a little bit more other things as well. We share a couple other things in common. I'd like to introduce you to my dad, Donald Hill. How are you doing, Dad?
Well, I'm fine. I'm just sitting back in London enjoying the weather.
Yeah,
Uh, Sunny sometimes, rain sometimes, but who cares? It's good enough for me.
I was gonna say that I'm surprised that you're not out watching cricket today, but it is Saturday, so it's more like an EPL soccer afternoon, right? Football afternoon.
Definitely. So, 4 or 5 matches at 3 o'clock, and
Yeah.
there's cricket coming from well, Pakistan and so on. I
All
do
over the
keep,
world.
yeah,
All over the world, right? The cricket coming
all
from
over the
all
world.
over. Yeah. I would say there's smiles on our faces today, but we support a specific team in the English Premier League. It wasn't such a great afternoon for me and the old man. I know you want to express some of that yourself, Dad.
Well, well,
Disappointing 2 draw.
put it this way: I prefer a draw to a loss,
Right.
and anything is possible these days. So having been one down, coming back to all, I take the point.
I want to bring the public in on a few things here. Yeah, we got the same voice box. You'll find out that we sound the same, but our accents are slightly different. Specifically, wanted to talk to you today about this specific topic. It's something that is very relevant to the planet these days. You know, a lot of the conversations I've had on my podcast so far, we've talked about people in power in the United States, how they're using their position of power, whether it be negatively or positively. And I just wanted to bring some attention to the gentleman that's representing where you are living, the jurisdiction where you call home, where you've called home for the last 30 years, and that's the United Kingdom. The Prime Minister, let me spice, hinted to this last week on the last episode of the Immigrant Podcast that we'll be speaking about the British Prime Minister. I told him a little bit of the information about his heritage, his parents migrating to the United Kingdom in the 1960s from East Africa, but of Asian descent. Of course, we can explain that as a whole other conversation in itself. But you could probably give us a lot more information on how this gentleman, I almost want to call him a young man because he's a little bit younger than me, but this gentleman and his rise to power and to the position where he is today. And that's, of course, UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak.
Rishi is 43 years old. He attended university both in the United Kingdom and the United States. A very bright fellow, you know. He has expertise in finance. There's no question about it. And someone who went to, say, Lincoln College, Oxford, and earned his MPA before moving on to California. I think he is ready for government in terms of he's really qualified. Joined the Conservative Party at a very early stage, working with other party member, and became an MP about 7-8 years ago.
Right. So let
When
me
he
let me stop
spoke,
you right there before you go any further. So this is where I wanted to insert going to Oxford and attending the best universities in the United States doesn't qualify you for office in the United Kingdom. So this is where you're going to expand on me and to all the people that are listening right now. Where did he set his base? Because he started in government with the Conservative Party very early after college and university. But then he also was elected to office sometime about 10 years ago as well, right? So, and he's still just 43 years old. So he's been doing this for a while.
what I failed to mention is that he worked with Goldman Sachs
Okay.
and later became a partner at a hedge fund firm.
No surprise there that a law firm was in the mix as well. Similar background to, of course, our previous president here in the United States, Barack Obama.
Certainly. He was elected to Parliament actually in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And while serving as a backbencher, there were changes. First of all, there was the Brexit campaign, of which he
Mhm.
was a part, and he actually campaigned for exit of the European Union. Following that, he was elected to Parliament. This was in 2017,
Mhm.
and during the Theresa May government, he was appointed as an undersecretary. That's a junior minister during
Mhm.
a reshuffle. Subsequent to that, he became Secretary of the Treasury and then elevated to being Chancellor of the Exchequer, which means the person in charge of finance, the economy, really, in Great Britain.
Right. So it was a quick rise from being the chancellor to becoming prime minister of the United Kingdom, because in the last 3 years, 3 or 4 years, the top position in the United Kingdom has gone through a few transitions. Some which I could say like all were unexpected, um, and that's how Rishi became to be prime minister of the United Kingdom right now. Could you give us some more information on how that process went and